Last session, Montana politicians passed legislation banning drag story events in public schools and libraries. That law is currently on hold, pending a court case, and today lawmakers discussed another bill that takes aim at drag performances and events for kids. The sponsor called it a legal fix for last session's bill. At the House Judiciary Committee, the public weighed in on House Bill 675, which would allow people to sue drag performances for alleged harm caused to youth from the performance. The bill specifically targets performances by, quote, drag queens and drag kings. Supporters of the legislation say it is needed to protect families from what they consider to be sexualized content, while opponents refute the accusations and say this bill only demonizes those in the drag community.
During the time when last session's anti-drag bill was passed, people sent us death threats at nearly every show due to the discourse from that bill that drag is sexual and drag performers are a danger to children. Even our adult-only shows, which are most of the shows that are done, will be threatened to be shot up.
I'm sure if Drag Story Hour was indeed wholesome and meant to spread culture, why would not read these books to the elderly? I'm sure the elderly would love to have books read to them. It's because we're dealing with members of an ideology who cannot biologically reproduce. So this ideology to survive, they must recruit, and that means recruiting minors.
It's not unusual for U.S. attorneys to resign or be terminated when a new presidential administration takes over. The U.S. attorney for Montana under President Joe Biden, Jesse Laslovich, was terminated suddenly 2 weeks ago after being signed out of his work computer. In the wake of Laslovich's dismissal, Tim Roscoe now sits as the acting U.S. attorney to Montana in an interim position. He's the son of former Montana Governor Mark Roscoe, who also previously served as chairman of the Republican National Committee under George W. Bush. He says this interim period of transition is completely normal and is controlled by a statute called the Vacancy Reform Act.
That statute just says that essentially the duties of the acting U.S. attorney fall to the person who occupies the role of first assistant U.S. attorney. And that right now happens to be me. So I become the acting U.S. attorney only until we get a new presidentially appointed and Senate confirmed U.S. attorney.
Roscoe adds that the length of time it takes to presidentially appoint a U.S. attorney can vary greatly.
It's been as early as the following September after the election, which would be this coming September, or as late as with Jesse Laslovich, it was June of 2022 after the November of 2020 elections.
Roscoe says he expects a swath of nominations of President Trump's selections to be forwarded at one time. Trump's choice for Montana will then need to be vetted and confirmed by the U.S. Senate.